particularly the Geetesh Garu and the DRDO scientist and our Praveen Rao Garu is also going to deliver on this occasion G20, and particularly already our JLN Rao Garu contextualized the situation and about set the tone for this one day workshop. I think once again I welcome you all for this important meeting. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for apprising of all the activities that are happening at OU, and as well as connecting G20 with the things that happen at OU, especially with the establishment of the Institute of Indo-Pacific Studies. Now it's my turn to just remind that we have a special lecture, special address, and special remarks. To begin with, may I invite the Ambassador, Jitesh Sharma ji, the former High Commissioner to Australia, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, to deliver his special lecture.
Very good morning to you, and have a great day. Why is it going to be a great day? Today is a very, very special day, not just for G20. It's one of the days that is going to be memorable. Today is the day we are launching Chandrayaan. Today is the day Prime Minister Modi will be the chief guest at France's National Day celebrations. How many countries get this honor? And when I see so many young faces, particularly the girl students, I remember what I saw this morning in the newspaper, that the Indian Air Force contingent will be led by a women officer. So these were my immediate thoughts after seeing such young faces, but let me acknowledge the dignitaries. Professor Ravinder, Vice Chancellor, I met you yesterday and today, and having met you, I get the impression of a very, very vibrant university under your stewardship. And the way you have described the university's plans today and that of the future fill us all with hopes and optimism for this university. We have Professor Praveen Rao, and sir, your achievements make our country very proud of your all that you have done over the years. We need more people like you. We have Dr. Jagirdar, we have Professor JLN Rao for the Indo-Pacific Studies, Professor Subramaniam Raju in Pondicherry, he's talking about international relations and issues. Professor G.B. Reddy, Professor Patrick, and of course from RIS, Syed Arslan Ali. So we have a very, very nice contingent, and down below also we have some greats really who have made such a huge contribution, and more is to come from them. I really don't want to start naming each one of them because I might leave someone. Indeed, well, let me just tell you at the start that don't get very tense about this session. It's not going to be very heavy. Just think along with me, and you'll enjoy this experience of understanding G20. What we're going to do is try to develop a little kind of framework. And I think many of you participated in the quiz and the competition part, and today also in the introductions, almost everything that needed to be said by way of the G20 process, the structure and all that was mentioned. But still, you need, when you begin to try and understand something, you need a good framework. Like you go into a shop, you can spend your time looking for clothes. But once your size is there, and then the shopkeeper understands what you like, then you can, very quickly, the right one comes before you. So we will focus on that aspect. So I think it will not be very heavy for you. I'm grateful to Osmania University, Ministry of External Affairs and RIS for bringing us all together to celebrate India's G20 presidency, and of course this valuable opportunity to engage with young minds. That makes us feel young too. Hopefully, I think so, that some of you will join the Indian Foreign Service. How many of you will join the Indian Foreign Service? Any hands up? Not many. But what I want to tell you is, even if you don't want to join the Foreign Service, even if you do not want to join the Foreign Service, foreign relations will touch you in every way, constantly in your lives. You may not want to do much with foreign policy, but foreign relations will not leave you. That is how the world is today. So let's try to get to the process of understanding a bit about foreign policy, and this is all leading us to the understanding G20 a little better. It may seem like a digression, but believe me, it is not. Last year in March, April, I think it was March, April, you know that Government of India, state governments, Government of Telangana, almost every state government in India, they work very closely with Ministry of External Affairs in bringing back students from Ukraine, right, from the conflict. There were parents, there were friends, there were relatives, all anxious that will they come back safely, and they all came back safely. Yeah, so that is foreign policy for you. It touches you, right? Again, this year, Sudan. There were Indians stuck in Sudan in very challenging conditions. There are two groups fighting there, and it's a bitter and violent struggle there. And right from the midst of the armed conflict, bringing out Indians, that's a huge effort. So that's something again that you will always, in certain crisis moments, in certain situations, you will look towards Government of India, Ministry of External Affairs, the foreign policy related institutions, Prime Minister, to give you that comfort, give you that assistance. But this is only one aspect. We're talking about conflict, right? But let's go to the other side. Let's say about opening opportunities. The foreign policy activity can also go and open up avenues for you. Today you're studying here. I began by asking you, will you like to join foreign service? But you may want to join something else, and I'm sure today's choices are so many that you're spoilt for choice actually. When the Australian Prime Minister was here earlier this year, in March, there was an agreement signed on education qualification recognition mechanism. So once you have graduated, you have got this beautiful certificate, perhaps in an auditorium like this or even bigger, and then you want to step out in the world and you find your degree is not immediately recognized. You have to do another exam, you have to study something more, you have to do little more activity, and then you're ready. But suppose the day you pass out, you can just take up any job, so anywhere in the world. So that's again something which foreign policy activity can do. So foreign policy is like let's say like a artillery. It opens up the the pathway, and then others can come in. So look at that foreign policy, the process in that way. The other thing is, you said old man talking, but the world has changed in many ways, and if I don't mention it, you won't get a full flavor of what's, this whole G20 process. The world has shrunk. It's really shrunk. We talk about climate change, environment issues. You look at the floods in Delhi, right? Delhi in northern India. It's terrible, you look in recent times, Rajasthan has been having floods, and we always studied in geography when I was like you that it's a desert area, So it's changed everything. Glaciers are melting, temperatures are rising. Some places are becoming colder. Huge last when I was in Australia, bushfires swept across the entire continent as never before. So all this is happening in your time. You are entering the world of employment, and this is what is right before you. So whatever you do in here affects somewhere else. I hope there are no smokers, but if you light a cigarette in South Pacific, an island may be going down. So I have been to that island, Kiribati. It's so bad there that they have leased land in another country to shift the entire population. That tomorrow, if that island sinks, then they will move their population to Fiji. So we have to be very careful, like a bonfire here, or in New York. So these are things that we're, dependent, interconnected. We're also interconnected in another way, and that is in terms of information technology. We have really become a very, very small world. India is a leader in IT, and Hyderabad is a hub of IT in many ways. But I tell you, for those who are writing civil service, when I wrote and I passed the exam and joined the foreign service, it took me 2 days to know my result. My mother found out. She told the phone operator, and who contacted me after 2 days and said, "Your mom says you're in foreign service." So from that time onwards, look at the world, that it has shrunk, and today there is no difference between you and, as Vice Chancellor naming all those places, Melbourne or let's say New York. You have access to the same information at the same time, same second, same instant. So this is the world, and that you have entered, and this is the process. G20 is taking place in this world where everything is instant, in seconds, nanoseconds. There was in the 1990s, Francis Cairncross, actually he wrote a book, Death of Distance. It's really that you no longer talk in terms of kilometers and miles, it's all split second. So that's something to is positive, and something that you have to benefit from, something great. I could never imagine somebody explain to me an email process that you type something and it will reach somebody else. I could never understand when I joined the Foreign Service, Ministry of External Affairs, and in 90s, when it was explained to me, I couldn't understand. Today it's like that. When we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, as it was mentioned today, Dr. Jayal Rao has also mentioned that, it's really that we are together. We are dependent and connected. So G20 is not about just some kind of heavy jargon, heavy kind of terminology. This is reality, and you have to think about this. We come to the topic of the day, G20 and India's presidency, and you have to understand your own country, India. You're nothing if you don't understand India of today. There have been several milestones in the last 75 odd years, and those who have lived through them have vivid memories. It's as though it happened yesterday, and they leave such lasting impression on us that the world is never the same again for you. When I was growing up, I was very young, and we used to talk of some wars, and it was really, 62 war and Bangladesh Liberation War. These were all defining wars. But let's not talk about war. The nuclear tests of 1974 and 98. These were really shook. When I saw the newspapers of those times, those days, really, it really left a mark. But look, let's start from nearer your times. And in 1983, we just celebrated some kind of anniversary. India won the World Cup cricket. And suddenly everything was transformed. You can be world beater, you can be number one. Right? And this was the eureka moment. When India entered the tournament, none of us ever thought, we didn't even really have televisions in those days. You hired or sat somewhere and watched some of those matches. And there was a eureka moment that, look, we are not bad, we can do things. Look at Mission Mars, I think there's a movie also made, right? Yeah, it's a nice movie, right? I haven't seen it, but I believe it reflects very accurately. But the final frontier, that again, in the first attempt, India did that. So that's again that we are a world beater. The world is shrunk, world is closed, nanoseconds, and you can compare, you can perform at the same time, but you are the one who is the leader, or you're the one who's emerged as number one. So that's something to remember. The G20 presidency has come to a country of that nature, that quality and caliber. Last year, actually, India overtook our old colonial master, UK, to become the world's 5th largest economy. We still have miles to go as in terms of poverty eradication, in terms of development, but we will get there. There is no doubt. India will get there. The other day, an Indian and Telugu song won an Oscar. Which song was that? Okay. I don't need to tell you that, right? Yeah. And a little before that, there were some gold medals also in Olympics. Earlier, Abhinav Bindra, Neeraj Chopra, the same thing, that Indians can perform at the highest level and be the best. When we are talking about Osmania, when we are talking of any other university, when you talk about yourself, would you like to be best in Hyderabad, best in Telangana, best in southern India, best in Telangana, or best in the whole world? If the world is shrunk, you better think that the world is one stage for you, one platform. You have to be the best in the whole world. That is the India of today. It is the best in the whole world, right? So when we say that we are at the top or near the top, this is the India of today, which you have inherited. And some of the greats, as you see here and elsewhere, that because of their hard work and then because of the energies of others, we have. It's fine? Yeah. So when you're older or at another location, maybe next year onwards, you might like to tell others, I was there when G20 happened, when India was president of G20. So it just doesn't happen like that. So another thing, just remember about India's G20 presidency, that we are the largest country in terms of population today. I think so. We have crossed China, or almost there, right? What do your statistics say? We have crossed China. Right. Yeah. So no one can ignore us. But not only because of population. We have miles to go in terms of economy, but India has already many features of the most advanced countries of the world. You look at it, that in terms of science, agriculture, space, nuclear, pharmaceuticals, information technology, entertainment industry. Hyderabad is a major center for entertainment industry, defense capabilities. These are only some to name. So we have many sectors which are really thriving and driving our economy into the big league. There is no city in the world, no city anywhere in the world now, if it claims to be a global city, without an Indian restaurant. It wasn't like that when I joined the Foreign Service. Indian soft power in terms of movies, yoga, dance and cuisine complement our achievements. All the greatest countries, if you look, they are combination. They are, a combination pack of soft and hard power. You look like France, you say they have military power, they have an economy, but they also have French food, French wine, French culture, dance, music, etc., etc. Chinese also, you say the same thing. The India is also that. Whoever knew that yoga was from India? People were doing yoga in recent times in 60s, 70s, but now with the celebration of Yoga Day, people know yoga is Indian, from India. It is ours. So this country that you're talking of, that we are a combo of hard and soft power today. We have also among the most respected diasporas of the world. Most respected, one of the most. Some of the finest names you can think of, and I understand that if you are you using PDF, Adobe software and all that. Yeah, I understand that Santanu Narayan is from this university. If you're and from Hyderabad, if you look, you even have a Microsoft CEO is from Hyderabad. So these are not just names. They have competed in the toughest environments and come out the top, very top. So there will be many from this university, and I'm sure that the university would have a very handy list in sports, in various disciplines, culture. This university would have given so many names. India has given so many names. The other, nobody tells you these things, that how it has happened that India has become a G20 presidency. But when you start putting them together, you say it's obvious that India's turn had to come. You look at GST. We complain the good services tax, but it has made us what? It has made us one of the largest common markets, right? Single space economy. Even Europe, with a population of 300 odd million, is probably 1/3 of India. So anybody who wants to invest, his mouth will be watering, thinking of a 1.4 billion people. So India's economic kind of standing is huge today. If you follow the news, Air India announced a decision to buy 470 aircraft from Airbus and Boeing some time back. And the other day, Indigo ordered 500 Airbus aircraft. When you go as a buyer also, into the market as a big player, if you go into market and buy a mobile phone is one thing, but if you go into market and buy 10 mobile phones, 10 of you go together, the shopkeeper will wake up, And if you buy 500 Airbus aircraft, the world wakes up. What about English language? Did you realize that English has done a lot of harm to us? Our own languages didn't grow the way they should have. Fortunately, they are getting those opportunities. But even setting aside that, even without doing anything, India is probably the second largest English-speaking country. Forget Australia, UK, etc., etc. In a few years' time, India may well be the number one English-speaking country. Even English countries will not find English their strong point. It will be India which will be the number one in that. So whether we do something in a very kind of determined, planned way, or even otherwise, I think the way that we are persistent, determined, hardworking, ready to overcome every single hurdle. We have a tough life, from our childhood onwards, but we are trained that we will succeed at all costs. So this is the India that has assumed the presidency of G20, and this is a very, very important point from my angle, that when I joined the Foreign Service, it was one thing, when you go abroad, you see the Indian embassy, you see the flag, and you see the anthem. But today, when you are there, you walk into a room and say you're Indian, what a difference it is. The world looks up to you. They take note, they wake up. India, and to hear your anthem and see your flag in a foreign location is the highest honor. And today in the French National Parade, if you see Indian contingent there, that's something which fills your chest with pride. So it's about any institution. When you say tomorrow and in your profile, your biodata, you join a company, you want to join a company, you say graduated Osmania from India. You don't need to say anything more. That's it, People it'll come flooding in that this university has such high standing and this country is special. Therefore, we come to this point. If you want to note down anything, this is what you have to note down. I really didn't want to make it a heavy lecture. The G20 presidency is not a favor or a gift to India, but a recognition of India's new stature and potential. There can be no meaningful conversation on pressing global issues without India. Let us pause once again, and move in another direction. Yeah? Each of you would know what diplomacy is, but may still struggle to define it. I practiced practical diplomacy for almost 35 years plus. Even for me, I had to give it a thought and think about it seriously. But there is a way of explaining it. I think diplomacy is a practice of foreign policy, which in turn is about making and influencing friends. That's it, You make friends, and for what? To pursue the national interests of your own country. Making friends, having lines of communication, that is very, very central part of diplomacy. Diplomacy right now, as we are talking about in this year 2023 around G20, would also be about, or could be a lot about, stopping war and establishing sustainable peace, about friendships, friendship between countries, friendship between populations, between people, between individuals. All this matters really when you're every day reaching such depressing news about horrors of war everywhere. I wish there was no war, but there is. So we need countries like India. The other thing to remember is we cannot command other countries like we command here. I mean, if today your teacher orders you to get up, you'll get up, and it says you leave the room, probably you might leave the room too. But in between countries, you can't have that. Countries are sovereign, so they don't like decisions being imposed on them. You can't order them. Even if they agree sometimes, that decision is not enduring. They will tomorrow find a way of circumventing that, and they will say that this was imposed on me. So the first thing is your heart must be in that. So G20 presidency is a big opportunity for India to try and influence the shaping of global processes, because we have friends everywhere. We are friends to everyone, and we talk of peace, right? So we are in the best position to be president of G20, to assume the presidency of G20 at this time. There is another little issue. This one, just be a little, attentive if you can, see, to understand the G20 process, that see, if you need to take important decisions, we are all, in our times, there was a lot of talk about India's nuclear status. Every country has, the 5 countries have nuclear weapons, but we don't have, and that's over, that's history now. Now there is, I find among the younger ones, talk why not India is a member of the permanent, not a permanent member of UN Security Council. When you achieve one, you go to the next. So next goal, it will happen. In your time, it should happen. Our time, this happened. Your time, that will happen. It should happen, But right now, we're not there, right? So many decisions are taken in UNSC. We may not be 100% part of it. But all is not lost, because many things happen outside rooms, right? And when you come to G20, it only come to UN Security Council, it only formalizes those decisions. Now assume that you're given 1 crore or 2 crores, and you're given this that tonight you'll have a meeting in your hostel and decide whether you need library or you need one more hostel, right? And you have to meet at 8 p.m. to discuss and decide this. You will discuss this, right? The merits, we need more books, we need more. Someone says, no, outsiders don't have rooms. But what happens is, sometimes when you come into the room, you find that some seniors have said, we need a stadium and it has already been decided. Those 2 crores will be spent on a new stadium, right? And then the rest of you will go on and agree that not a library, not a hostel. So sometimes in the UN situation, you'll find many processes outside the rooms. So what should be our aim is that we should be in every room, we should be in every process, and we should try to influence every single process. So G20 is definitely one of those moments. We should try to be part of that and see to it that our views are reflected. And not only our views, if you have been reading the news diligently, India is also trying to articulate the views of the global south, the countries which are less developed. So we try to be the voice for them as well, so that they are not left out in all this. And if you saw again on G20, the African Union, that Prime Minister has, we understand, written to all countries that why don't you admit African countries also, African Union to G20. 55 countries, Africa. You cannot become member of UNSC without getting support of Africa. Remember, 55 countries out of 160, 170 is a big number, right? And so we've had a series of meetings in the run-up to G20. You had also the FIPIC summit, Pacific summit. I think we know that since we have a Pacific Center earlier, in May, and Pacific 13 countries, 14 countries, they all are within here. 14 votes plus 55 from Africa. So in terms of votes, you're already a long distance ahead, right? And then the Caribbeans also. So G20 process is precisely this: everywhere, empty rooms, and making friends and keeping your friends in rooms also. Who speak for you, speak with you, vote with you. So try to get that flavor, of the G20 process. And something easy to understand, that you have to be a good messenger, and that the same message conveyed by one person will not go through as from another person. You'll find it in your college life also, university life also. In Ramayana also you'll find Lord Hanuman went to Lanka, right? He went as a messenger of peace. Actually the war could have ended, there could have been no war, but they didn't heed to his message. So a messenger's voice, messenger should be respected, and message should also be taken seriously. Lord Krishna also, he could have averted the Mahabharata. He went to the Kauravas and said, give a few villages. But today, amongst all the countries, we should be very, very proud that India is seen as a very good messenger. We can talk to Russia, we can talk to United States, we can talk to Pacific Islands, we can talk to Africa. So that is the value of India. It's not any country being, assuming G20 presidency, but India assuming. So we should be very proud and conscious of that fact. India took over, and I think the several other points were covered as in the introductory kind of presentations that were made, both about the G20 and its scope. So I do not want to kind of inflict that a second time with you, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the theme of the summit. But a small thing you could just keep in mind, that unlike formal organizations, G20 has flexibility. That initially in late 90s it began in response to certain financial problems, financial crisis in the world. But it evolved in response to other. Today it talks of Ukraine conflict also. It talks of Sudan crisis perhaps. It talks of other kinds of crises. But in the in the formal structures, see, when if you and me disagree, and we think we might even hit each other, we'll have a lot of rules. We will say that you will sit 10 feet away, you will not have a stick with you, I'll not have a stone with me. So when there is a kind of anticipation that it may not be a civilized conversation, we have like Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It was recently we had a summit also because it emerged out of a conflict between USSR and China, and also very elaborate rules were set up. G20 evolved in response to this or that. So just remember that it doesn't have that kind of secretariat or standing, exclusive secretariat as other. So it's a process. It's a process which will respond to events and developments as we go along. The Bali summit also was post-COVID, when the economies of the world were badly affected. So if you know the theme of this summit, but look at the last: recover together, recover stronger. It really meant that post-COVID. So this is there. Then the Global South, one last point I'll make, India is very, very different. We walk the talk. And if you know that when we say Global South, in all this COVID crisis, which was the country which was helping the rest of the world? Yes, vaccines. When we say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, these are not just words. These are not words. Don't was also hungry. So we grow with him, and the world can never be happy unless we are all together happy. So COVID is a brilliant example of the way that India functions. That today, the last, what I would say, that it's natural that this presidency is with India, and we have reached this stage, and after independence, fitting tribute to India's 75 years. But the next 25 years, with you as leaders, India will be member of Permanent Security Council of the United Nations. I'm sure of that. There's little doubt. We will get into more and more exclusive circles, and nothing is impossible. So our best wishes are with you, our blessings are with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing all your insights and your experience and trying to take us through the entire journey that you have been through in being a wonderful diplomat for India. And we were known more for land of the snake charmers and beggars. I think the kind of snake charmers and beggars we were known for in abroad. And you really highlighted that getting G20 was not a favor that was done, and it is recognition for whatever India has achieved over the years there. Really love the Eureka moments that you mentioned as well, sir. May we have to share in this forum now Professor V. Praveen Rao, sir, the former Vice Chancellor of Professor Jayashankar Telangana State Agricultural University of Hyderabad.
Good morning, everybody. At the outset, let me register my appreciation for the excellent narrative of the Indian world leadership given by Ambassador A. Jitesh Sharma. Okay. Having said that, President of today's function, Dr. Ravinder Garu. We have amongst us Dr. Jagirdar from DRDO. We have J.L.N. Rao, Professor A. Patrick, Professor A. Subramanyam Raju, Moderator Syed Arslan Ali, Professor G. Reddy, I know very few here. Madam, say what we call Jitesh Sharmaji, Professor Tipat Rao Garu, and other dignitaries. I will especially mention about the students, because the students who have born between 1997 and 2011, we call them as Z generation students. Okay, the students who have been born after 2000, we call them as generation alpha. Why we call them specially? Because you are born with a gadget in your hand. You are born with in the internet generation. As my earlier speaker was saying, that you are born in the age of data, in the age of information, in the age of knowledge, in the age of technologies. So all of which are in your hand. Okay, so that is the power what you have. So greater responsibility lies with this generation. Now coming to my topic, which is different from what I'm an odd man out here, because the entire community here probably is not related to agriculture. That is good for me as well, because whatever I can speak whatever I want. Okay, but having said that, I will try to connect the relationship to that, to the G20. As said by Lakshmi Garu, agriculture is one component of this G20. Okay, and wherein four priority areas have been identified, like food and nutrition. Okay, so the first connect what you have is whatever you eat every day, it is related to agriculture. Okay, so the way you live, the way the food you take, the health you maintain, all are related to agriculture. I will detail it a bit later stage. Then another one is sustainability, sustainable agriculture. Why we say sustainable agriculture or sustainability? Now we have, wisdom has prevailed among our scientists, and today what we say is good soil. Soil is the center point for anything. Good soil health is good plant health. Good plant health is good animal health. Good animal health is a good human health, because it is related to plant health and as well as the animal health. So good human health, good plant health, good so what we call animal health, and good human health is a good environment. And when you have good soil, so what we call better plants, better so what we call animal health, better environment, then you have the good plant health. So unless we have, this is a one connection, or what we call it as, say, continuum, what we have realized today. So the life starts with the soil. That is where I think one of the components wherein life for the environment has been said. This is one aspect. And another connect which I want to say to you is, whatever is happening in the north now has a role played by us in the past. Why I say is, say for example, if all of us sitting here, instead of eating one time meat a week, if we eat 2 times meat a week, what happens? I will tell you the statistic. I don't know how many of you know. For to Hyderabad, every day 300 trucks of sheep comes. That is the food habit what we have in 300 trucks of sheep. Whereas on Sundays, it will be 500 to 600. So 97, we have done a survey by our university students. We found that 97% of the Telanganites are non-vegetarians. 97% of Telanganites are non-vegetarians. Okay, now how this has an impact? How this has an impact? So to produce 1 kg of meat, depending upon the type of meat, whether it is a chicken, goat, sheep or beef, we require 500 to so what we call 21,000 liters of water to produce 1 kg of meat. 500 liters to 21,000 liters of to produce 1 egg, you require about 300 liters. So if you are eating one egg more, so that means you are consuming not only egg, but you are consuming additional amount of water. That is one component. Another thing is, say for example, instead of using 1 kg of coffee powder per month, let me say I will take 2 kgs of coffee. But instead of taking one time a coffee, I will take 2 times a coffee. So if you are consuming 2 kg of coffee, 1 kg extra, then you are using 21,000 liters of water more. So you are consuming 21,000 liters extra water. So this is the say what you call situation wherein we are today. Having said that, I always feel proud saying that I have pursued agriculture as a career, and India success story as far as agriculture is concerned, it is unparalleled. It is unparalleled. When you think of 1947, there was a, say what you call saying, ship to mouth. I don't know how many of this generation probably doesn't know, but the generation which is sitting here knows it. Unless a ship comes from America, we didn't have the food. From that stage, today we have reached a stage wherein we have a population growth of something like we were 50 million at the time of independence. Today we are 1.4 billion. Say what you call, probably I was seeing in the say what you call my mobile, we are 1.412 or 413, something like that, whereas China is 1.41. So we have crossed China. Actually we were supposed to cross in 2027 as per the predictions, but we have crossed earlier. Okay, so much population growth we had, but you will be surprised to hear the food grain production was 6.6 times. We had 50 million tons at the time of independence, and today we have 330 million tons of food grains. Horticultural production, we had just 30 million tons. Today we have 330 million tons of horticultural products. We produce 2 billion eggs say a year. We produce something like 221 million tons of milk. We produce something like 17 million tons of fish meat. We produce something like 34 million tons of the list goes on. So altogether we produce something like 850 million tons of food commodities to feed our nation. Now, how we do that? You will be surprised to hear how we do that. We have only 2.4% of land area of the world. We have only 2.4% of land area and 4% of global water resources, but 18% of population to feed. So if you consider China, USA and ourselves, we have about 7.8 billion people on the planet today. So out of that, 40% are only in these 3 countries. So imagine a situation wherein if we say there is a drop in the food grain production, there will be nobody in the world to feed a country like India. There will be nobody in the world to feed a country like India, but we can feed Africa, we can feed other countries. So China, USA and India, 18% population we have, say what you call 18% population China has, say what you call and about something like 4 to 5% of altogether, something like 40% population. So you can imagine. So this G20 group, which has these 3 countries, I haven't added Indonesia. If I add Indonesia, it will be these 4 countries itself account for some 65 to 70% of the population. So that is how you have 85% of the world GDP here, 60% of the land area, say 66% of the population and 75% of the international trade taking place. There is another observation which people make all the time, saying that, oh, agriculture contribution to the GDP is coming down. It was 46% at the time of independence, and it has come down to only 17% now. But it is a wrong way of putting it, because it amounts to 46% if you take into account the food sector, if you take into account the services sector like transport, wherein the contribution, that means say even for the potato is grown on, as a simple example, potato grown in the northern side and as well as the eastern part of India. So every day 1500 trucks come to south. from that part to here. So you can imagine the, say, what you call contribution that is being. So it amounts to, we have made a calculation, it comes to about 46%. So agriculture and its allied sectors where we have interconnectedness, it is about, say, what you call 46%. This is one thing. However, we have, it has been predicted by Ratan Lal, who is the world food prize winner last year, that India has a potential of 550 million tons of food grain production capability as on today, but we are producing only 330 million tons. That is one thing. Now this unparalleled success story has brought down the poverty from 70 to 16% today in the country, and we are nearly 45 billion USD. We are exporting the food grains to the agricultural commodities to the other country. And from ship to mouth, we have a situation wherein we have state of right to the food. I always say that we have human rights, we have right to food, but there is no right to soil. So there is a need for a policy to say that the soil also should have some right to protect it. So this has to come in the policy. We have sensitized the government in this regard. But all this had an environmental cost. All this had an environmental cost. So all this success story was a bit narrow. Narrow in the sense it was cereal centric, rice wheat. It was only rice wheat. It was more of subsidy based. It was more of a assured price and procurement for these two crops. It was more of input based, like fertilizers, chemicals, like what we call mechanization, so on and so forth. So I think that we are now, I think the entire world is at a point, what we call it as, we are at a crossroads now. We have to choose a path. We have to choose a path. The wherein, so what we call the entire planet is protected. That is where I feel happy whenever I see this G20 logo or so on and so forth. At least now, the wisdom prevailed among the world leaders to come together. Because these are the days of partnerships, these are the days of collaborations. If anybody thinks that today we can do something in isolation, I am afraid not. Whether it is a university, whether it is a department, whether it is a scientist, whether it is anybody, collaborations and partnerships are the key for the progress, and that is the reason why I feel very happy whenever I see this G20. This is the third so what I call meeting I am participating, so I feel that. So now the several mega trends are going on in the world. Like it is predicted that by 2050, the global population will touch 9.7 to 10 billion. Mind-boggling. Okay, so our own country from 1.4, it may be somewhere around 1.68 or 1.7 billion. I don't know if not more. Then we have already, out of the total cultivated area, 84 million hectares is degraded. Okay, so I can tell several such threats to biodiversity. And one single statistic I will tell, when we got independence, per capita, the water availability was 56 lakh liters. And today, it is only what we call 13 lakh liters. Okay, because of the population. So we have such challenge. Now we have to produce more with less. This is where this sustainability, this whatever I said, that continuum, soil continuum, play an important role. Now, having said this, we need to have a equation or a what we call framework, what we call it as triple P: profit, people, and planet. Okay, so these are interconnected, wherein we need to look at them seriously today, and we call it as sustainable food systems. We want that the future should be related to, or we have to establish what we call it as sustainable food systems. That means we want to pass on the social, the environmental, and the economical sustainability, or the pathways to the alpha generation. I don't know what name they give to the next generation, without deteriorating them, without eroding the base of that. So when we say what we call economical sustainability, We say that people should get enough food, enough jobs. When we say social sustainability, we say that so what we call good health, good nutrition, gender, say what we call equivalence, and then when we say environmental sustainability, carbon footprint, water footprint, biodiversity. So these are the things which we are. Earlier we were obsessed, as scientists we were obsessed, only we were asked to produce more, disregard what is happening, the environmental externalities. We never said that you give this much water so you get this much production. We never looked at the negative externalities that are taken. So this is the, so that is the reason why I said that we are at the classroom. This is where I think the digital, out of the 4 pathways, the digitalization of agriculture is the key for the future. And I am very much obsessed with this subject, though it has been. So I was basically an irrigation specialist. Whatever micro irrigation you are seeing today in the country basically was initiated by me in 2003. I was the Karta and Karma Kriya of that, whatever micro irrigation. So I had an opportunity, the late M.V. Rao Garu, who has sent me to Israel for training and capacity building. Incidentally, I had opportunity to stay there for a long time and come back and contribute to the society. This is where I challenge the younger generation. This is where I challenge my faculty as well. I used to have 530 faculty in my university. So I used to ask them, I used to request them, can each one of you produce one technology in your lifetime? Each one of you produce just one technology, nothing more, which has a societal relevance. Nothing more. You have a career of 35 to 40 years in the university, so each one of you produce one technology. The same thing applies to the students. Why? Say, I will tell you why this is important. Today, the traditional thinking, the traditional way of looking at the things has to change. I was discussing to one IIT student, IIT Hyderabad. He just joined. He was my colleague's son. So he was going from his home. So he was facing all the time problem for autos outside the gate of IIT Hyderabad. Then he developed an app for his convenience. So he has developed an app for his convenience. So that is what you have to look at. So you pick up a challenge in the society and address that challenge and develop a solution. This is what we expect from the younger generation. So I was amazed. There is a you might have heard about housefly. Okay, there is a new fly now called which is actually disrupting the entire world. Black soldier fly. I don't know whether you have heard of it. Black soldier fly, whose life cycle is only 43 days. Out of that, it is active only 14 days. The remaining period it doesn't eat. Okay. The adult phase, there is an adult, there is a male adult, female adult, they mate, but they don't eat anything. They eat only during the 14 days. So during 14 days it is a larval phase. And you give 1 ton of waste to it, it will convert it into 200 kg of fertilizer. And it will give you so what you call about 60 grams, 60 kg of pupa or so pre-pupa larvae, which has about 46% protein, which has about 30% fat, or several other things. It was amazing for me. I didn't know. Then we applied for a project. We got 1 crore project, and now it is working. You have to believe. You have to see it to believe. So this such a disruption is taking place. So similar way, I think in agriculture this disruption has to come. If I have to tell where the world is moving, where the country is moving, say what you call, if you talk of agri-tech, say what you call, it was just 412 million in 2020. So what you call, it has generated. Today it is 1.2 billion. Okay. Say what we call, another report says that India's agri-food tech startups have raised 4.6 billion, okay, last year. And according to Niti Aayog, it is predicted that unless, I am not talking something, I think you have to underline, I am not talking something which is not happened. China started similar way 30 years back. and they've said that unless there is a 4% growth in agriculture, you cannot maintain 8 to 12% growth in the, say, what you call at the country level. Okay, so say what you call Niti Aayog says that unless you maintain 4% growth in agriculture, you cannot maintain 8 to 10% say growth in the country. And it says that in the next 3 years, about agriculture, agri-tech would say what you call have a growth rate of 22.5%, and it will be worth 2.6 billion. Okay. So now these are the things. Globally, it is said that today it is about 19 billion, and it is predicted that by 2030 it will have a share of 46.5 billion. Okay. So this is the magnitude of agri-tech. So I always said that. I always said to my people, but they are not listening. I am saying this, but I will say here also. There is a need for a new business model in universities today. The old business model is outdated. For me, as far as this is my personal view. The luminaries sitting here will accept it or not, but I don't know. We also have. The old business model is outdated for me. You need a new business model wherein if you say that I will offer only arts courses, science courses, I will offer only arts courses, I will offer only agriculture courses in my university, veterinary university says I will offer only animal science courses, fisheries university says I will offer only this one. I think those days have gone. These universities have to come together. These universities have to come together. There should be a partnership between these universities. Now I need a course today wherein I will teach him about agriculture for 2 years, and I need, say, Usmania University or some other university to teach big data analytics. Mahindra, say what we call Tech Mahindra, I request them, or JNU, I request them to teach artificial intelligence. So because I need human resource who can disrupt this, say what we call status quo. Unless you do that, I am afraid it will. And another important thing is you need lot of freedom in the university. You need lot of freedom. Innovation prospers only in freedom, where you have a freedom. Innovation doesn't prosper if I say, I will fix the course curriculum like this. I will fix the, say what I call, unfortunately, agriculture has a course curriculum every 5 years, a dean's committee is appointed, and they say that this is the course curriculum for the next 5 years. So boundaries are fixed. I cannot cross that. If I cross that, I will not get developmental grants. Okay, so there is a need for disruption. That is where I feel that I like this subject very much, and I pushed this subject as a vice chancellor in my university. We have established an agri-hub, what we call it as, wherein in a hubs and spokes model. All the hubs what we have, let us take T-hub. T-hub is restricted to only Hyderabad, cities. Okay, we have established a agri-hub which is in a hubs and spokes model. We have 3 centers in rural areas and 1 center here which caters to the its role is only to disrupt the this one. Now I will tell you another example. Student from Tech Mahindra, IIT Hyderabad or Usmania develops a product from Engineering College to Usmania. He can develop that sitting in his bedroom. He can develop a product, IT product. He can connect to the Silicon Valley in US. He can present it from his bedroom, get the valuation done, and the product is sold. I need not go out. All this can be done if sometimes in 15 days, in a month, or so on and so forth. But unfortunately, in agriculture, if I want to introduce digital agriculture, it takes 2 seasons. So venture capitalists doesn't have patience to wait that much time. So if I have to show something validated, so I have to test it for 2 seasons. So all agri-techs need a seed capital fund, so what I call, to push this in a big way. So these simple things are not being looked at. Another important thing is, if digital agriculture has to prosper in this country, or if it has to move forward, it is a multi-stakeholder and multi-segment, say what you call, approach. You cannot say, if I say that I want to push the digital agriculture in rural areas, then telecom ministry comes into the picture, or telecom department comes into the picture, power sector comes into the picture, IT sector has to come into the picture, so what you call Ministry of Agriculture has come into the picture. So there is a need for multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral, say what you call approach for this to move forward. This isolated approach of Ministry of Agriculture doing something, this doing something will not help us. So this is another one policy thing which we have to look at. Then another thing is platform approach. Now you see, you might have heard that in the newspapers and so on and so forth, wherein somebody is saying that, coming and mentioning that I have developed a drone which can help me to spray for mosquitoes, which can help me to spray for say what called farmers, say what called agrochemical and so on and so forth. But as a farmer, I am a farmer's son, I know that if I have to do agriculture successfully, I don't need just agrochemical spraying. I need seed, I need water, I need fertilizer, and so that means I need multiple solutions. And I also, as a farmer, I cannot deal with 10 people. I have to deal with one person. So that is the reason why we need a platform approach. That means you put a platform wherein now all this what you are seeing, Uber, Ola are different platforms. So I don't need to just I contact them, they will say what will cater to my needs. So I need a platform approach wherein all these solutions are put so that farmer can approach them and then cater to the needs. This is another thing. Then another important thing is say what you call a sandbox. I would say sandbox at the state level, sandbox at the national level. Why this sandbox? Say for example, my friend, say what you call Syed comes with a solution. Now, where he has to run? Whether he has to run to this department, that department. So there is a need for a sandbox at the state level wherein he will approach there and he will decide whether the technology is correct, whether it can be pushed into the this one. And Telangana state is the first state wherein we have this ecosystem what I was speaking for the last 15 years. So you have a T-Hub, you have a T-Works, you have a Agri-Hub, you have, say what you call, anybody coming with this, you have a data spatial infrastructure framework which we have developed. Just 3 days back it has been submitted by the World Economic Forum to the government of India. So you have this. Now all this needs, why I am saying this is important is data. So many people say, use loosely the terms data, information, knowledge, technology. Data has no meaning. What you collect is data. You conduct an experiment, you collect the data. But the data needs to be treated with some given statistical treatment, then it becomes information. And when you publish it, it becomes knowledge. And when somebody studies it and applies it in the field, then it becomes technology. There is a big difference between data, information, knowledge and technology. Technology means, say what call it has societal relevance and it has brought some change in the so what call status quo, and it has benefited the people, it has benefited the society, it has benefited the individual, and so on and so forth. So this is one thing. Then another important thing is, always we hear in this country that agriculture is a dirt-ridden. We have to enter the field, it spoils the clothes. So every day we hear that 1,500 to 200, 2,000 farmers are leaving agriculture and so on and so forth. Now a stage has come in the world. It is happening in other countries. It will happen in India as well. And it has already happened. Many IT graduates are leaving their jobs and trying to do agriculture in this. And today you have few IT graduates in own Hyderabad. If you want, they will deliver to your home every week, each day, whatever vegetable you want. Okay, a vegetable garden is grown on your name on his farm. Say what you call with kitchen garden, wherein it will be on your name and they will deliver. If you say I want leaf vegetable Monday, they will deliver you leaf vegetable. If you want tomatoes Tuesday, they will deliver tomatoes to you. If you want brinjal Thursday, they will deliver brinjal. Okay, so people are there. So now this is a good the opportunities for the youth. Why I am saying opportunities for the youth is, youth has an open-mindedness. Youth can, say what I call, accept the innovation. Youth can accept the change. and there will be a generational renewal. You have all the, today you have in India, elsewhere even in China, in other parts of the world, the average age of farmer is around 50. Okay, so you need young farmers today. So this is another opportunity what we have. Then digital infrastructure is one. Okay, digital infrastructure is one. So we talk of a lot of say what you call mobile say customers in this country and so on and so forth. But still in rural areas we have only 40%, where actually 90% of the farmers live. So there is a three-level. One is backbone internet. Another is regional network like what we have 5G, 4G and so on and so forth. Then is a wireless network at the local level which needs to be looked at. This is one. Then so what we call we have there is a need for centers of excellence in the universities for data. So that is another aspect. And there is a need for dedicated so what we call sandboxes at the university level to create success stories, to document, produce papers which have high impact of the so what we call these technologies. Then we have so what we call entrepreneurship courses in the universities. That is the reason why I am saying that there is a need for a new business model. Then say we have big data centers everywhere. So these are some of the things I think I thought that I will share with you, because recently when G20 conference was held here, there was a special session on digital agriculture, wherein we have shared all this to the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. I think these are the things which people have to look at. So that means these boundaries have to be broken. So what we call institutions have to come together. You will be surprised to hear China took a decision one fine morning. They wanted to establish a world-class university, and they said that we will conduct an examination in the at the provincial level, and the top 50 students from each province will join only one university at one go. So that is a world-class university. Now they have pumped all the money into that one single university, and it has become a world-class university. So there is a need to challenge the impossible, and that is where the young generation has to look at. Unfortunately, we have a shy nature. You have to break that. Nobody is superior than you. Say you have to say what you call. You are seeing that in the newspapers, in the YouTube now, how children are challenging and how they are moving forward. This is where, and this is where I think a lot of what we call courses or orientation courses. I will give you one more example before I close. Design thinking. Have you heard anything anytime? Kindly raise your hands. What is meant by design thinking? That is the problem. That is the problem. Okay. So once I went to a say what you call car production unit. Okay. So there was a what you call museum there. Okay. The person whom I have to meet didn't arrive by that time. So the receptionist guided me to that museum, and in that museum. This I am talking about in other country. Okay, the children are playing with a machine. I didn't understand. Curiosity developed in me. I just went there and stood. So there is a machine wherein he is a car manufacturer. So he has put a machine there where the children can decide, or whoever is playing with that can design his own car. What color, what shape, what type of seats, what so on and so forth. So he is basically designing a model. Okay, so you need that design thinking. So how you address the problem? How you so that company takes all this feedback from them and then it designs its cars. Okay, so you have to think in that context. Okay, many of us do not know that we are using already artificial intelligence in our mobile every day. Machine learning we are using every day. You type my name 10 times, next time when you type P, it automatically gives the Praveen. That is machine learning. That is artificial intelligence. Okay, so we need to say what you call our people. We were taught to say that you say what you call get training on this, get training on that. I still remember one statement made by my supervisor when I was doing postdoc in Israel. I went there in '94 with they said that in the flyer which they have sent me, you should have insights into how to operate a computer. So in '94 it was Windows operating system. So I took a what you call training in that, and I went there. When I landed there, it was Macintosh. Okay, Apple. Okay, so then he said, Dr. Rao, you go and play with the computer. I didn't understand. He used that what you call sentence like that. You go and play with the computer. So you have to play with the technology. So this is what you have to look at. I thought that I will share these things with you. Thank you for the organizers for giving me this opportunity. So I hope that some of the students from this will develop some products which have implications for the farmers who are, see, so what you call, whenever you go to somebody who is giving what we call like dan. So you give whatever, you give money, you give anything, he will not be satisfied. But you provide him a means, he will say another. Okay, so say so all of us, say what you call, are connected to food. Unfortunately, we give less importance to that. So I think agriculture is the culture of this country, and so what you call, people have to say unless we have sufficient food grain production in this country, it would not be possible for us to achieve all other things what we are talking. I think that is where I end. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity and sharing my thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was so wonderful listening to all the insights of agriculture that you have proceeded. And surely you are not out of place when you quoted so many things of association of, you highlighted how Telanganites are more of non-vegetarians and things to do with the amount of water that has been guzzled to produce a kg of meat every time. And hopefully CCMB comes out with the lab-grown meat in future. And we'll have Russia telling us again that organic food is the best and we shouldn't go for the inorganic ones that are there. So there was a lot of insights and we were mind blown with the kind of insights that you provided, sir. Thank you, sir. Now it's my turn to invite Dr. Jagirdar, Group Director, RCI DRDO Hyderabad, to share his message on this occasion.
Morning to all of you, distinguished guests on the dais, Girish Sharma, Professor Ravinder, Chairman, Usmania University, Vice Chancellor, Professor Praveen Rao, Agriculture University, Professor Raju, Indo-Pacific Center. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me, because I am from just one of the organizations in this big city which is conducting some kind of scientific research. Nevertheless, as it is introduced in my biodata, in fact for the last 30 years I am in Hyderabad and I am very close to Usmania University. I used to stay for the first 2 years in Nalagunta only, and I have been frequently around. So I am in touch with a lot of faculty in OU, and almost 30 years in Hyderabad as mainly a native. So Usmania University is a very a place where there is a lot of happening is there. So since today's topic is about research, I will straight away jump into this research. As I was a youngster after my MTech, I went to University of Southern as a research student on Commonwealth Scholarship, wherein after going there and spending some time, one day in the very beginning, my guide in a discussion he told me, research is not about finding something unusual or solving the mystery of the universe. It's only about a methodology of how to understand, diagnose, and interpret situations and provide solutions. So research is still a very general, psychological term, and many of the young minds who are here, they are from chosen select in our education system who will be doing these kind of jobs. So coming to my organization where I'm working in defense R&D organization, which we make some weapons and missiles and even some other equipment for the military. It is good incubation center for research wherein we have some of the primary areas where we work on like propulsion, aerodynamics for the missiles. But we have a lot of other work centers where we do research on inertial navigation systems, which are required in even right from small quadcopter to even big helicopters, aircrafts, even ships, and even satellites. So we also work on RF sensors, microwaves, electromagnetics, and many areas of electronics. We also work on radars and some electronic sensors for electronic warfare and transmitters, receivers, signal processors, and many other equipment. Some of our work centers, they work on imaging sensors, optics required for high-end equipments. Some of our work centers work on control systems, which are required in different varieties of missiles and even some other associated equipment. We also work on some of the areas where especially required materials and metallurgy work is done, which are required for fuselage of aircraft or helicopters and all. There are high-tech areas in which we do research. We have research in many other areas like communication systems and all. So these are all about little bit of electronics and avionics and all, wherein a huge opportunity is available. So just coming to give you an idea of not only the areas of work, but even coming to the simple numbers, like for example, within Hyderabad, within the cluster of laboratories that we have, I think approximately 2,000 scientists we have, and around another 5,000 engineering faculty or some kind of educated talent is available in our campuses. We have similar campuses in ISRO. We have many of CSIR labs here, and we have IITs, IIITs, Usmania University campus, JNU campus, HCU, and we have a big campus of Agriculture University. So you can see, if you just count approximately, all this comes to about 20,000 to 30,000 research talent pool, which is high-end research. Then we have so many public sectors here around in this city, and we have some private sectors also doing research. So this is all about research and academia, which will come close to about a lakh. Then we have huge IT industry, which employs something like 2 lakh plus professionals, and many of you are probably not aware. We have huge pharma industry. They employ a huge talent pool of very experienced people, which may run into some 3-4 lakhs. So if you look at the R&D atmosphere of this city, it is about approximately 6 to 7 lakh people, which is a big talent pool. If you take Hyderabad city population of let us say 50 to 60 lakhs, then we are almost 10% of population doing high-end work. So I think we are in a very privileged place. And what do we do? Not only from agriculture university research, we even do high tech. So like all domains of research areas are covered. And as one of our distribution speaker today, Sarma sir, pointed out, even the policy is a matter of research. It's not about producing something innovative. It's about how to arrive by having some goal. So as Sir has pointed out, even the policies are a matter of research for us, and you can see their experience of 30 years what do they do in shaping the policies? So shaping the policies is a matter of research. So today we are in a situation where we need we have a lot of scope for people with a research attitude. So coming to R&D, government is funding R&D. R&D is like something obviously for which young minds are the inputs, and the soil is available. If I can say, soil is available here, and young minds are inputs. So obviously the output would be great. But definitely, as pointed out in one of your brochures of Usman University, the university is trying to promote research ecosystem. What does it mean? It means all the inputs required. The university is trying to promote or encourage people joining research. They are providing infrastructure for doing the research. They are providing funds for doing the research. And in fact, even like to apply that research, some technologies are also being developed. So all this is a part of the ecosystem. So coming to our infrastructure requirement, definitely when it comes to high-end research, maybe the universities do have some infrastructure issues, but then like my organization like DRDO or even the ISR, they are very keen to support any kind of research. If any of you have any requirement of special equipment or infrastructure to do some experiments, you are welcome at our place, and we have open door policy with even just a simple letter from your faculty, we can permit you to do any experiments required. So it's a kind of support from Government of India that anybody can be, for research promotion, anything or any infrastructure should be shared with the outside agencies. There's nothing like it's my property. So coming back to funds for research, as you are aware, there are so many avenues in which, through which or mechanism through which the government provides funds for research. Some of them are like research fellowships and even especially given to CSIR or even DRDO gives fellowships. Several fellowships are available through several means, mechanisms of UGC through which the research is promoted. Then all this, even very recently, Government of India has come out with one more mechanism called the National Research Foundation, wherein it will provide you another mechanism of pooling a large amount of funds into research. So maybe some of the OU and other university colleagues can prepare suitable proposals and invite them. They are all, the ways and means in which the funds need to be attracted for conducting the research. So definitely there is a huge opportunity for doing research, and research is like research itself is become a profession. And finally, all said and done, the aim of the research should be only to make life better. So I am sure that whatever the initiative G20 has taken, to have a university connect is only to make life better. Areas can be diverse. Areas of cooperation can be very, very diverse. But nevertheless, the aim is to make the human life better and prosper. So I am sure that today's this event will give a message that we are all putting a well-intentioned approach for the benefit of the world. That's what Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is all about. So really, I would like to thank the organizers for calling me here and to give to share thoughts with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for trying to explain to us to all the ecosystem and the kind of support which DRDO goes about with providing for research. Just to mention that Malaysian sir is associated with a few things, and recently I was given an opportunity to be a part of a project through Malaysian sir with DRDO there on estimating time of a project there at DRDO. Now I invite Professor A. Subramanian Raju Garu, Dean International Relations, Pondicherry University, and Member Steering Committee, G20 University Connect.
Honorable Vice Chancellor of Usmania University. This is working?
It's working.
Professor Ravinder, Ambassador Gitesh Sharma, former High Commissioner to Australia. Professor Praveen Rao, former Vice Chancellor of Telangana State Agricultural University. Dr. Jahangir, Group Director, DITO Hyderabad, Registrar, Professor Lakshmi Narayana, Professor Patik, Professor Department of Commerce and PRO, Professor Jayalal Rao, Director, Institute of Indo-Pacific Studies, Professor G.B. Reddy, Director, Center for Distance Education, and Madam Mrs. Ambassador Gita Sharma, Ambassador Ravi Shankar, Ambassador to Laos, Professor Tirupati Rao, former Vice Chancellor of Osmania University, Professor P.V. Rao, former Director of Indian Ocean Studies, Mr. Saeed Ali, who is representing RIS, and faculty members, thesis scholars, and students and friends. It is really my privilege to be part of this event. I am very thankful to MEA, RIS, and Osmania University for inviting me to this G20 University Connect Lecture Series. In my presentation, I try to look at how India could play a very significant role at G20. G20, as mentioned by Jayalal Rao, that it was established in 1999, and also the profile of G20 was also given by him, so I don't want to say again. When we are talking about these 19 countries and the EU as a member of G20, then probably we may look at that it is only representing only 10% of the members of the United Nations. It also strikes me to understand about that 38% of the population is not represented in G20, then how do we look at how important G20? On the other hand, we are talking about United Nations, which is now seem to be not effective in the recent the incident in Ukraine, where we are unable to solve the problem and which is affecting the rest of the globe. Then probably we look at how we can understand comparison between United Nations and G20. And that is where we have to understand whether G20 is still relevant, how India, taking as the president of G20, how India could play important role when India is not a developed country, India is not at all a Security Council Parliament member, then probably we will understand how difficult for India, being a president of G20 in 2022-23, will play a very significant role. And though it is, when we are talking about G20, when the profile was said by Professor Jayalal Rao, it is seems to be a very influential forum for global economic cooperation, and it is consisting of largest economies representing developed and developing countries. And it has the contradictions, the G20 members have contradictions and divergent interests, and also any decision at G20 cannot be taken without having a consensus. So now look at so many riders in which we are looking at how India could play a very significant role. Yet, I feel, as a student of international relations, as very powerful and influential if it acts with unity and sense of purpose. Because on one hand, you are looking at United Nations as being seen not very effective. On the other hand, if you look at G20, how it could really help us. Because multilateral engagement seems to be very difficult at global level, then we are looking at parallelly the alternative approaches where G20 comes into the picture. And also, some of us also feel like presidency has come to us by rotation, how it makes a difference to us. Because that is, when we have challenges on one hand not developed, and on the other hand consensus, on the other hand not a Security Council member, on the other hand it is on rotation, on the other hand it is on consensus, where we can locate India's role in G20. It is something very important for us, and this is the way we look at Indian government is taken, because challenges should be there, and challenges needs to be converted into opportunities. Opportunities needs to be seen into reality, where we look at how India could be seen as a very significant player in G20. And we have taken presidency at the time world is witnessing different challenges like global supply chain crisis, geopolitical crisis, debt crisis, COVID, we have seen in the past 3-4 years, and also seems to be international disorder which is witnessed by us. And also we see that COVID and Ukraine did not leave any country in the war. And then we look at this, we feel that there is the age of crisis or poly crisis or multiple crises around us in the global level. And we have these geopolitical challenges make us to be seen that multilateral engagement can be really effective or not in the due course. India has the potential and chance to leave India's imprint on G20. How? And this is the time for us to showcase our strengths like digitalization of transactions, inclusive growth, healthcare, new education policy, unity in diversity, and traditional and historical experiences we should be navigated across the globe. India represents a multicultural and multi-religious quasi-federal structure, and there is a credibility for India across the globe. And India is seen as most of the countries in the world see India as is a partner, reliable partner, and we never violate any international agreement or bilateral agreement. And this is the time for us to navigate our trust to the rest of the world. And also we are looking for multilateral engagements for stability, security, and safety. And when we look at about COVID-19, how I think one of the previous speakers was talking about how COVID really helping us not only to look at the challenges within the country, but also we are able to supply COVID vaccines to the other countries. In the recent meeting when Foreign Minister had a meeting with some of the dignitaries in the Delhi when it was conducted by ICCR, one of the ambassadors was talking about that there was a meeting with the Foreign Minister with the ambassadors of many countries representing Global South. And the ambassador, when he was talking to the Foreign Minister to India, he was talking how India was able to help the particular country. And when he was talking about how India was helping to defuse the crisis in his country, he was in tears. What does it mean? It is talking about our approach to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. When we are in crisis, still we are able to look at the problem of others, because we look at that the world problem is our problem and we take it, and when we are in crisis, we are also looking at how to help others. We also witnessed in tsunami how we help when we are also suffering with tsunami. Still we are extending cooperation with neighboring countries. And this is something where we need to look at about that. India is able to talk to many people, talk to many leaders, and it is in a position to be in touch with the key players, and India is representing developing countries. We are in a position to talk to the top leaders, and there is a leadership crisis in the world where now most of the countries are looking at India as a leadership. And how that is important, how we could, whether I am giving a rosy picture about being an Indian, whether I am praising my country, I will able to look at how we have strengths in terms of having a legitimate power in the world. When we are talking about that, I will come later. And also, as one of the previous speakers, I think Vaichas was talking about regarding this. I think one of the speakers, I don't remember, when we are talking about how in G20 we can bring some of these issues which are very important, particularly this maritime domain. Because you look at that in the due course, when we are talking about in international relations, we are now having a problem with regard to the globalization. There is a challenge, there is a crisis talking about the globalization. But I think this is the time for us to look at whether we can replace globalization word with the maritimization of the world. because most of the trade goes through waters, and 90 to 95% of the world trade goes through waters, irrespective of that, whether it is a coastal state or it is a hinterland state or landlocked state, still every country is depending on ocean. Now this is the time for us to look at how we can bring this maritime domain into the discussion at the G20 level, because 21st century has been called the century of the seas, and ocean represents a new economic frontier for growth, development and investment. And also it is very important for India, because India failed to have good relations with the neighboring countries, particularly on the continental front, but whereas on the maritime front, India is seen as a security provider, and India is never violated any international treaty, or for that matter 2014 there is a ICLAS verdict where India and Bangladesh regarding sharing border maritime dispute between India and Bangladesh, where most of the area was given to Bangladesh by ICLAS verdict, still India accepted. That is what we talk about. How do we relate to the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam? Wow, we are looking at this, the principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and in practical how we are implementing in our policy making. And also G20, when we are talking about the blue economy, which is very, very important aspect, because blue economy is always talking about sustainable growth, where we are talking about connectivity, fishing, trade, or tourism, or exploration of minerals, or maritime security, etc., etc. I think this is the time when you look at G20, where we have 45% of the world's coastline, represented by G20, and 21% of exclusive economic zone represented by G20. I think this is the time for India, which is having experience in maritime domain, where it can talk, when it can discuss with other member countries to develop blue economy, because that is essentially, when we are talking about sustainability, we need to bring blue economy, because this is also will really help us when we are talking about blue clusters or maritime spatial planning, where we can limited space, more exploration of the resources, which will really help us not only looking at avoid or reduce the time, or also we can explore more resources, more income, and that is something very important for us to look into that. And also this is the time for us to articulate our strengths. It is a time for us to navigate our trust among the countries and show the path to work towards stability, security, prosperity to prevail. This is the time for us to propagate our 5,000 years of civilization, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, how relevant. And that is something where we need to look at how we can bring out, is not necessarily to focus only how we helped during the pandemic or during tsunami, but also we look at about the GHG emissions. When we are talking about climate change is a universal problem, we look at what is the contribution of the other countries. United States is contributing 25% of GHG emissions, whereas EU 22%, China 13%, whereas India is contributing only 3%, and when India is representing 18% of the world population. But still we feel that climate change is not, we are not the responsible for the problem, but we are ready to be part of the solution. Why I bring this, this issue, because 3% of GHG emissions by 18% of the world population is negligible. We can ignore that aspect, but we feel that nature, we respect nature. Nature is our part of our way of life, and this is time for us to articulate our narrative environment. And also we are not only rule takers, but we are also rule shapers and rule makers. And this is the time for us to look at, when Prime Minister is bringing the initiative about one sun, one world, one grid. What does it mean? When we are talking about, he is trying to bring 140 countries together to supply solar energy to mitigate GHG emissions, because we are trying to look at connected to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, oneness, one family, universal brotherhood. And this common grid, where we are going to supply energy to the different countries. I think that is a contribution of a country like India, which is not at all responsible for greenhouse emissions, and thereby the countries are looking at us. Most of the countries in the world, why they look at us? Not because India is a developed country, not because India is in a position to be, say, take a decision in Security Council, but because the way we look at the kind of our approach towards our neighbors, one earth, one family, one future. If you look at how that is, and also we are known for preserving biodiversity, and we are also very, very important. Where Professor Praveen Rao was talking about our food style, if it is going to change, how it is going to be. It will be a world food crisis. And our food style and our family binding, family caring, our responsibility, lifestyle, our savings, that is something very important for us to articulate to the rest of the world. And this is the time for us to navigate to the rest of the world, how we take different ways of mechanism in which we live in. And earlier Western countries used to tell us what we should do, but it's now time for the rest of the world to look at how India is, how they should learn from India. Western countries started looking at India now. Why? Because we have a stable government. It is rising peacefully. And also now Western countries are not in a, now they are not at all talking about Kashmir issue. Earlier they used to talk about every time any diplomat, any foreign minister or any representative from Western countries come to India, they talk about Kashmir. But now they are not talking about Kashmir. Why? That is something we need to look at. Because we have seen the Doklam crisis, or Ladakh, or Arunachal, or Uni, or Balkot, because the rest of the world understood that we are in a position to keep our house in order. And I'm not giving a rosy picture about that India is great, that India doesn't have challenges. India has no problems, because which society, which state doesn't have problems, which state doesn't have challenges. But I look at, because we have caste-based politics, we have religious-based politics, we have regional-based politics, but still we work together, we live together, we work together, we talk together, we grow together, because our society is a consultative society. Because we understand that negotiation is important. We are never navigating about war. And 18% of the world population, I think this is the time for us to navigate our strength to, and also is a different India that is seen by most of the countries in the world, and is a new India, how we can see this. And as we know, the leadership crisis in the world, it is a time for us to look at, not necessarily to look at only poverty or other problems. There are problems that needs to be taken care, but on the other hand, what are our strengths that needs to be seen, because it is something very important for us to look at that. And it is also time for us to navigate that Sarvodaya, or welfare of all, because that is always indicating about the propagation of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, non-violence. If one gains in non-violence, the entire human beings gain. I think this is something very important for us to bring the philosophy of Mahatma about ahimsa, or universal human value of ahimsa, ought to be cultivated at international level. One can create a new world. And when British came to India in 18th century, our contribution was 24% of world GDP. When British left us, it was only 4%. And now we are in a position to see as the 5th largest economy, and also looking in the future 3rd largest, and also maybe largest economy in the near future by 2050. There are different records which are talking about. And also we are very, very important to know about how women empowerment, which is also one of the themes in our G20, where we have 80% of women have bank account. There are problems still in India, but still we need to see the progress about women empowerment, which is very, very important when we talk about any country's development. women contribution is essentially important. And also we are representing the global south, because after G20 some of us may talk about what you do after the presidency is going to be taken over by Brazil, then what India is going to do. There are so many platforms where India can navigate his philosophy, his approach, and that is what global south it is. When you look at in 2023 January, when there was a meeting on global south, there were conducted by India, 125 countries attended, and that is something where you look at unity of voice, unity of purpose. India is being voice of the voiceless people, and India is seen as next peace provider or next safety provider. I think that is something very important, and particularly the theme is engaging young minds. This is G20 University Connect. So let me also, before concluding my presentation, let me say that how we can, we are now expecting $5 trillion economy by 2025 and $10 trillion of economy in 2030. How it is possible? I think this is something very important where youth needs to contribute a lot. Youth is our future. Youth is going to decide the future of India. While the world is aging, India is becoming young. Becoming young, and this era belongs to youth. 50% of our population is less than average age of 29, and this era belongs to India because we have strength, we have a demographical dividend where we can able to demonstrate to the rest of the world. I think I stop here. Thanks for your patience listening to me.
Thank you so much, sir. You have connected to many things that are there, and a lot of issues, from women empowerment to demographic dividend to the kind of things where India stands there. Thanks to all the speakers, and a big appreciation to the audience. There was no policing to be done by the teachers or asking you all to keep quiet. Normally we get that kind of a thing from students, but so nice that you had gone about with maintaining that calm and listening to all the pearls of wisdom that were shared. Yeah, truly, you need to pat yourselves there. And we have certain things to come out for the students. So it's been one-sided that you've been listening to all the great speakers on the podium here. Now I think we would have a question and answer session which would be moderated by Mr. Syed Arsalan Ali, who is a researcher from RIS, that is Research and Information Center, New Delhi. And the most awaited thing is for 2 days at Arts College, there were events on quiz, elocution, essay writing, and after the Q&A, we'll have the prize distribution and announcements of the winners will be done. Certificates will be given by RISC Ruveder. So may I request Mr. Syed Arsalan Ali to take over.
That's okay. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor D. Ravinder, Ambassador Kitesh Sharma, Professor Praveen Rao, Dr. Jahagir Da, Professor Subramanyam Raju, and Professor J.L.N. Rao, Professor Patrick, and Professor J.P. Reddy. Thank you so much for having me and having this privilege of sharing a dice with such eminent personalities on that stage. So, before going to the question and answer session, I would just take a minute to tell you why this University Connect, why not Industry Connect, and why not a Let's Banking Connect. As taking a leap from what the Professor Raju has said, that youth is where the energy is. Youth is where the ideas are. Youth is where the aspirations are. So we have to take these aspirations. We have to connect what's happening in the global level, what's happening in the G20 to the local level. What climate agreement in the G20 will have effect on the farmers in your area. What climate agreement in the G20 will have effect on the population in the low coastal area. What is climate-induced migration will have impact on. What all the conflict-induced migration will have impact on. So these ideas you have to debate, discuss, and take forward. What are one of the things what we like to the larger purpose of this G20 Connect was familiarizing with the initiatives. What are the initiatives which globally can affect you? What are the SDGs? What are the barriers we are not achieving the SDGs? What is the Western agenda? What are the barriers it is not being accomplished? What is the climate loss and damage one? Why it is not been implemented? These are the things which we like you to ponder upon. And what are the key development priorities of India, of Global South, which we look upon? The poverty, the hunger, the health, the renewable energy, the inaccessibility of technologies. We want the youth to connect to us so that we can debate, discuss, and disseminate the ideas of the youth. Because we know that we live in an interdependent world, the interdependent world which is connected. And in such a globalized world, we cannot have a national solution, we cannot have a local solution, we cannot have a localized solution to that. The solution should be global, and we have to face these grand challenges before us: the climate challenge, the poverty challenge, the hunger challenge, the health challenge collectively. So I may end this that the presidency of the Indian presidency may end in September, but the ideas should move on, the in letter and spread. And the struggle for a better world, leaving no one behind, should be carried forward. With these remarks, I move ahead to the Q&A session. So in the first round, I may ask for 3 or 5 questions and then may get back to the speakers for the answer. Please raise up the hand if someone has any questions. Okay, I may start to set the context.
There's a mic there if anybody wants to
Yeah,
ask.
there is a mic if anybody wants to ask. Okay, till the time you frame a question, let me start with a question to our speakers. Sir, as we know that SDGs are a most recognized framework of development, but the UN SD report recently released has been very disappointing in the sense that we are not going to achieve 40% of our SDG targets. And reforming the multilateral institutions is one of the priority areas of the current G20 presidency. So what reforms do we need in our multilateral institutions so that we can have at least some sort of convergence with our SDG targets? So I may start with Ambassador Hitesh Sharma on that. Yeah.
I think SDGs are very important, and to imagine that 100% would be achieved sometimes may not be possible in real life, but to not have targets is another kind of situation. We may not achieve anything without targets. So I think the first thing is to have the aspiration of the global community to reach such a state where every individual, every community has access to those minimum basic facilities within their lifetime, not after 200 years, we have reached a stage where the world cannot be divided into the haves and have-not in terms of SDGs, whether it's education, sanitation, water. SDGs is not something very complicated. It's just basic things. What you need is to have a decent life, and that is your aspiration by 2030. But it's a kind of milestone, it's a kind of yardstick. So let's see that there still is time, and some of the achievements of India are remarkable. For instance, toilets. The government actually put it. This is a kind of subject that we talk about toilets. It wasn't even considered, very polite conversation. So many people in India, the toilet is kept somewhere far off in the house. The planning will not be there. So we have demystified some of these elements and brought it to center. A movie was made with the name toilet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think let's not lose sight of the fact that there is still this time. Let's not lose sight of the fact that that India has huge achievements already. Let's say water in their house. That is something which we are used to in Hyderabad. But what about in villages? People carry pots or go down, long distances.
And I think Jal Jeevan Mission of Government of India is a very much appreciated initiative in this regard.
And as we are talking about destruction of environment, what about attacking the forest for firewood? Should we not look at energy for the household? So I would say that it's important that the world is thinking about them. The UN has set a certain target, and we are on the way to going along in this direction. Certainly that is not possible always for various reasons, but cutting is also kind of not desirable. As far as reform of international institutions or international architecture is concerned, this is open. And somewhere along the way it happened. I used to be part of the nuclear establishment when the nuclear architecture was modified. Nobody ever thought it could be. I didn't think in my lifetime India would be given recognition and exemption from nuclear supplies to and it happened in 2002. It happened. There is a moment. You have to be a bit, you have to rise, you have to have muscles. And it will come. Look at today that some of the countries with global architecture has changed. Some of the countries have gone up the ladder and they are demanding their share. And India is also very much on the radar. So in what way the final step happens, what way finally they will get into UNSC, these are all very difficult to speculate. But when it happens, it will be difficult to ignore.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all that is.
Thank you, thank you. Professor Praveen Rao, we have SDG 2 and interconnected SDG 3. So your comments on it.
First thing is that to have a goal post is very good. There are at least, I think, 9 or 10 SDGs which are directly connected to agriculture. I think India is moving in that direction. I can give you 2 or 3 examples. One is the Food Security Act. Now you have a right to food in this country, and we have enough buffer stocks to address the issues of hunger and zero hunger and poverty. The only issue is with regards to the access to them that is being looked at. That is one. And number 2 is with regards to the greenhouse gases. Since China and India are the 2 countries where rice is grown extensively, and it is the one which contributes the highest methane gas to the greenhouse gases. Now, since these sustainable development goals have come into play, there was a lot of pressure on agricultural scientists to find a solution for this. And you will be surprised to hear that the rice is grown today without any standing. Okay, so earlier we used to raise the crop in standing water, in some places even 1 feet, 2 feet of water, and today we grow what we call it as aerobic rice, and we don't prepare the land. You will be surprised to hear that we don't prepare the land, we don't grow the land, but still we sow the crop, what we call it as zero-till crop. So that means land use contributes to a lot of greenhouse gases. So we are on the pathway with regards to these greenhouse gases, with regards to even by this, I think September, October, we will be having electric tractors because that is another area where we contribute huge greenhouse gases. But we will be having electric tractors as well to reduce the greenhouse gases. So, with regards to malnutrition, we have a challenging position. With regards to say what we call water, we have a challenging task. I think we are working on that. Earlier, rice used to require, because it consumes nearly 60% of the water in the country. Earlier, we used to raise rice crop by giving something like 25,000 cubic meters of water. Today, we raise the same crop by giving just 1,700 cubic meters of water. Okay, so the things are happening, and today there is a directive that any technology, whatever we develop, we should have what is its carbon footprint, what is its water footprint, say what is its energy footprint. So these things are coming into the play. So in all the technologies are viewed from SDG angles. So already we have, recently McKinsey has released paper, probably it might be 2 years back, wherein 28 technologies have been recognized, their marginal costs have been worked out. Say for instance, if you look at Telangana, earlier before bifurcation, we used to grow a rice crop which is of 155 days duration, which was not suitable for our region. So we developed a variety which is of 120 days duration. So, and we didn't do any extension. We didn't do extension. It was a classical example. It was a problem solving, which fits into our agroecological conditions. So it spread like a wildfire. Today it occupies about 40 lakh acres. And it will be mind-boggling to hear that since we have reduced 1 month duration, we have saved 11 TMC of water if the crop is grown in 1 lakh hectares. So that means it is equivalent to one medium irrigation project. Okay, so things are happening. Varietal shift, crop shift, say what you call micro irrigation technologies, say vertical farming, where you have heard that in this area we can grow 700 tons of say what you call vegetable crops, vegetable leaves. So things are happening. We are in the right direction. I think we are optimistic that by that time, by 2030,
yeah.
I think the poverty will become zero in this country. Say what we call and hunger issue will be solved because we have enough capability, as I said, 550 million tons of grain. But diversity, there should be what we call it as, we are not only talking of responsible production, but we are also talking of responsible consumption. Okay, responsible consumption. Every one of us here sitting, on an average, we waste 50 kg of what we call food every year, which itself runs to 90,000 crores wastage. So that means 50 kg will be cut down. It is saving is producing. So I think we are in the right direction. I think as far as the SDGs are.
So any questions from the audience now? Yeah, there's one question.
A very happy afternoon all the dignitaries and everybody present here. I actually don't have any questions, but it was a great session because all your speeches were on point. And I feel so privileged to be here. And thank you so much for all the dignitaries for being so informative. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question? Yeah, here's a question.
A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries, sir. I just wrote down my question. Sir, even after all the good communications and the foreign policies, India still faces some of the other global conflicts. So what reforms in your opinion should India take to tackle these conflicts or to minimize the conflict on a global level?
So would you like to direct this question to some speaker?
Yes, I would like to direct this question to our speaker, Ambassador.
Okay.
Thank you for that question, and I think I did mention that foreign policy is all about trying to avoid conflict and making friends. So it should be the top priority. But as you see that we have currently some wars going on, and even earlier, and most of these wars seem preventable. Even the war, Ukraine war, let me personally say that it was preventable. I lived in Ukraine, so kind of it could have happened earlier as well. But every situation there, could have been dealt with. But when we go into this kind of conflict situation, we don't go in alone. Right? So we develop a kind of consensus. We try to develop a friend circle. We try to develop common approaches, non-threatening kind of actions. So I think some are historical legacies also. So they have to be dealt with a lot of patience and also with tact. I think that is another matter. So I think your question is very general, but even India, when it became independent, some of those conflict situations, they're coming from a period when we had colonial rule, and so can even say that the mismanagement of certain border aspects of British India, and we are stuck with the consequences. But having said that, nothing like having the right amount of strength, confidence. It's not just strength, but when you walk anywhere, you must feel that I matter. If you have self-confidence and you have muscle to go with that, and you have tact and confidence, as a diplomat, you should be able to listen to the other side. Communication is very important. If the communication break down, I think everything is into conflict mode. So I think it's a good lesson that let's try to once again, India's great heritage, Mahatma Gandhi and the other non-alignment. When we're talking today about Ukraine, that India is standing alone. But right through from independence, we will judge issues on merits. So I think a larger number of countries are seeing that value of this. Most of these global south, they don't want to get caught between this country and that country. They want with everyone. They talk with everyone. Indians are only ones. You can walk into a United Nations conference room and you can shake hands with everyone. The American will not shake hands with the Iranian probably, and somebody else will not shake hands with the North Korean. Somebody else maybe not with Israel. But look at India. India is special. We have lines of communication with everyone. People talk to us, listen to us, are willing to shake our hands. So it's a great asset. So I think that whenever there is a conflict situation, India will always play an influential role, a lead role in trying to find the right kind of solutions where peace is enduring.
Thank you. Professor Subramaniam Raju, would you like to add a brief comment on it?
Yes, I want to add.
Yeah, sure. Sure, thank you.
Question. G20 itself is one initiative to avoid conflict. Okay. And I give you another example. Ukraine produces nearly 30% of the sunflower oil in the world, both Russia and Turkey. And it produces 33% of the wheat of the world global system. And even now, in spite of that conflict, communication is there, and that food commodities are moving towards Africa. Fuel is moving towards through Indian this one to other countries. So, as Ambassador said, that communication is the key. So, G20 is one initiative to address this.
Professor Subramaniam Raju, a brief comment, sir.
And particularly with reference to the crisis in Russia and Ukraine, you look at how India was able to deal with Russia. Because when there is a resolution against the sanctions against Russia, India was abstain. So someone is talking about then, if India is not going to do, then what will happen? They was talking about that it is not going to help. Because when the situation, depending on the situation, we have to act. We are not here to say which is right, which is wrong. When in the moment we talk about this is the way of looking at diplomacy, we have to diffuse the tension. It is not the place or space or time for us to look at who is right, who is wrong. And that is the way we have taken, of course, national interest where Jessica was talking about it. And also most of the countries, when you look at the sanctions against Russia, there are only 40 to 43 countries. The rest of them are not. It doesn't mean that they are supporting Russia, because there is one. Then I have to go back to the another incident when we are talking about related to this incident. When Rajapaksa, when there is a dismantle of entity from the Sri Lankan soil in 2009, there was even with NCR. When the resolution when India supported it with America and on the second resolution abstained. Then Rajapaksa was talking about why you abstained, you should have supported us. And India said, because it's only one vote, so how it matters, even then also it was going against you. Then Rajapaksa said, it is not one vote. When you have taken a decision, there are many countries are going to follow you. And it matters to us. When you vote, it is not one, there are many people who could have won it. So this is the way of looking at.
that is something where we need to look at. It's not to aggregate the issue. How do you make and diffuse the tension? And that is the way of looking at the diplomacy. And that is what, the Western countries, America was not happy with the Indian nation regarding this Ukraine when they went for the resolution. But that is not going to help. Not only for us, it's not good for the world. So that is what we are trying to look at in all our actions. We can look, relate to the West development of how we are looking at that is our Indian points.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Yeah, we have a question.
Good afternoon to all the dignitaries on the stage. Sir, I have a question. On one hand, India is trying to promote its culture at the global level, and on the other hand, it's trying to impose uniform civil code in the country. And how can both go in hand in hand? Aren't they complementary to each other? And will UCC wouldn't affect the culture which has been we are following from centuries? I would like to hear an answer.
So, would you like to direct to someone?
No, sir.
Specific? No. Okay.
Anyone, please. Uniform Civil Code, yeah. UCC.
A brief comment from
I think
the speaker.
UCC is only in the draft stage. We only to comment from the panel because we have to allow the us to be discussed whoever has got opinions. I feel that we have enough political capital on this and there will be enough competent leaders to sort out the issue. It is better we wait and be party to the discussion. I think as of today we can only become a party to discussion and listen to other parties rather than arriving at it.
So I think we have run out of time now. It's already more than which was allotted to the Q&A session. So with this, I would just like few comments from the Honorable Vice Chancellor on the technological cooperation between the universities, how we can enhance it and how G20 can help it. A brief comment, sir.
Sir, the mic, sir. VC, sir. Use. Just repeat the question once again.
What is the how can we foster technological cooperation between universities? What was your experience in this technological cooperation and how we can enhance it? Sir. Sir, Dr. Raj. Oh, I forgot we have two vice chancellors in our time, sorry.
One is former and one is present actually.
Yeah, I think correct in my address also I mentioned a lot of initiatives taken up and particularly in the context of university policy. And the technology which I have used, for example, which have established the Usmania Technology Incubation Center, which have welcomed most of the students to come to Technology Incubation Center, and I think that we have, and in fact we have CEO is also alumnus of Usmania University. We are connecting a lot of activities, particularly the technology and the research, and for that which we have come up with a program known as Usmania Touch. Under that the lab to land, lab to product. We are inviting the industry to engage the young minds. So like I think many initiatives which are in the responsibility. Not exactly the G20, but
yeah.
Apart from the G20 also
which G20 can look up into.
Yeah, G20 is in the context of the technology.
Thank you so much. So it was a great privilege to have such an insightful discussions. I thank all the speakers and all the students who have participated in it. Thank you so much.
Okay, you seem to be hungry. You can do a better job by applauding for the efforts which Arsalan did in moderating it, right? It's not easy. I think it was simultaneously a panel discussion come a Q&A session that Arsalan had done. Thanks to you, Mr. Syed Ali Arsalan, researcher from RIS. I have given another delightful job on behalf of Professor Jaylan sir of announcing the results of the G20. Okay, that's somewhere else.
University. It's a university.
Okay. For the various G20 activities and competitions that were held on the 11th and 12th, I think I was a part of the quiz program, and what I seen or was very happy to see the response from the students. 43 teams from the various affiliated, constituent, and university colleges that participated. Of which the first prize, if you all are there, just stand and we would applaud for it because the certificates will have to be given by RIS later. First prize went to a team of 4 people from University College of Arts and Social Sciences, which was B. Srikant, V. Santosh, Krishna Sandeepa, and Alekhya Neta. Are you there? Yeah, I think the team there in the end. And the second prize went to students from University PG College of Secunderabad, which had G. Kirunmai, G. Srividya, A. Sai Harshini, P. Ananta Rajagopal. Yeah, the 4 people that are there. Congratulations them. There's one surprise I got to tell when people are talking about women empowerment and other things there. There were 2 topics that were given. One for essay and one for elocution. The elocution topic was on promoting eco-friendly lifestyle, need for a new paradigm. And essay writing topic was bridging global digital divide, role of G20. And the elocution competition, if I'm right, all the 3 winners were girls in that. The first prize, I think these results were not out first. So the first prize is backed by Alekhya of Bhavans Vivekananda College, Sainipuri. Yeah, you can see the girl there. And the second prize was to Charmi, who's from Avinash College of Commerce. Are you there, ma? No. Then the third prize went to T. Nikita, University College of Arts and Social Sciences. Are you there, Nikita? Okay. The essay writing, the first prize was Miss Bala Bhargavi from Telangana Mahila Vishwavidyalaya in Koti. Are you there? No, this newly formed university. And second prize is Miss Sarada Dasa, who's from Bhavans Vivekananda College, Sainipuri. Are you there? Sarada? Okay, I got to tell that essay and elocution, it has been all girls competition. I think the central government schemes of Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao is getting reflected in the competitive part as well there. Thank you so much for your enthusiastic participation. I think Jalen sir ran into a lot of trouble till late in the evening. You have to conduct those things. Yes, sir. Yeah. All the participants who had been a part of the quiz, elocution and essay writing will be receiving their winner as well as the participation certificates from the Research and Information System, which is one of the supporters of this event. Okay, now it's time for the felicitations. Yes, all the participants also. There's a participation certificate, sir. You get an e-certificate, that's what Arslan confirms. Okay, we have a short felicitation function. It's all about attitude of gratitude, and just to remind the students, don't just go away. There is lunch arranged on the other side of this building, so kindly take your food packets, enjoy your lunch and get back. And a small request to only the teachers who are there, there is a kind of lunch that is arranged in the guest house. For the ones who are new, it is beside Arts College, just behind the temple beside the Arts College. It's only for the teachers. That's the students. There is food arranged on the other side of the PGRRCD. Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor D. Ravinder sir, to do the honors by felicitating all our guests who are here. To begin with, may I request the people on the dais and our Vice Chancellor sir, first to do the honors to the ambassador, that is A. Gitesh Sharma sir, who was a former High Commissioner to Australia, Ministry of External Affairs, GOI. Small token of gratitude in the form of a memento and a shawl and a fruit basket. Really honored, sir, to
the way you said it, that you'll make it very light, speaking about diplomacy and all your experiences there. Next, I request Vice Chancellor Sir to do the honors to Professor Praveen Rao. It's been a great person that we had gone about the meeting, and it's surely a memorable and indelible kind of impressions that the students will carry from today's event. It was wonderful listening to their experiences and insights. Next, I request Vice Chancellor Sir to do the honors to Dr. D.R. Jagirdar Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being a part and an ambassador of DRDO, I would tell you. Then I request sir to do the honors to Professor A. Subramaniam Raju, Dean International Relations, Pondicherry University, and member, most importantly, of the steering committee of the G20 University Connect. Give an insightful message to us today, speaking on a lot of issues. And coordinator of this entire program, that is Professor Jayalin sir, would like to felicitate the colleges who have been very supportive and sponsoring various things during this event. So first I call the representative of, okay, I forgot another thing that is there, Syed Arsalan Ali, young guy there, right? So how do I forget to do it? Thank you sir for reminding. Thank you Arsalan for doing that moderation for the Q&A session. Surely it will be a day that you will remember, felicitated by Professor D. Ravinder. Young lad. Okay. Thank you, sir. I skipped this name there. Sorry for that. Okay. May I call upon Dr. Jayanti from RBVRR Women's College? Wow, there is a lot of local support, I suppose, there. The girls cheering. I request the Vice Chancellor, sir, to felicitate Dr. Jayanti. Please. Then I call upon Dr. Ramchandra Reddy, sir, from NTR Degree College for Women. Okay, Ramchandra, sir, has to wait first. So this is Ramchandra Reddy, sir, from the NTR Degree College for Women. Last but not the least, another member who has supported us during this event, that is from Andhra Mahila Sabha, that is Ma'am Vasundhara ma'am, if you're there, please come, or if she's not there, any other representative of AMS, please come over to the dais. Anyone else from AMS College? No. Okay, we have done, and thanks to all the people who had helped us out and the felicitations as well. We have one luminary, think IPR, intellectual property rights. One name always comes around in the circles of law, that is Professor G.B. Reddy, sir. He is the director of the PGRR Center for Distance Education. And any legal issues, we always look towards him. One, 2 minutes, he just finished the vote of thanks. Yeah. Professor G.B. Reddy, sir, to give the formal vote of thanks. The premises where we are, this auditorium, and everything to do with the PGRR CD, sir is the director for that, and he's got joint directors also here.
Very good afternoon to all the dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, dear students and scholars. All the good things come to an end. Today has been one of the best examples of the great minds engaging the young minds, and to make the G20 University Connect successful, there have been number of eminent persons responsible for making arrangements, sharing their wonderful knowledge and experiences. I take privilege of proposing formal vote of thanks on this occasion on behalf of Usmania University and also the Center for Indo-Pacific Studies, Usmania University. To begin with, we thank the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, and Research and Information System for Developing Countries for giving an opportunity to Usmania University to host this lecture series. We place on record our heartfelt gratitude to Ambassador Sri A. Gitesh Sharma ji for setting the right tone for the lecture series on the G20 University Connect. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Usmania University, Professor D. Ravinder Garu, for his presidential remarks and also for connecting the 21-point agenda of Usmania University to the objectives of G20. We thank Professor V. Praveen Rao, former Vice Chancellor, for his special lecture on the role of agriculture, agroeconomics, and also with special reference to India. He also referred to the design thinking and the impact of AI and many other relevant aspects. We thank Dr. Jahangir Dar for his explanation of the various research initiatives of RCI and other R&D institutions, including the universities, and also for mentioning the much relevant National Research Fund initiative of the Government of India. We thank Professor A. Subramaniam Raju Garu, Dean International Relations, Pondicherry University, and member steering committee of the G20 University Connect for highlighting the felt limitations of UN and increasing relevance of G20, and also the significance of the presidency of India as far as G20 group is concerned. We thank the young researcher Mr. Syed Aslan Ali from RIS for wonderfully moderating the Q&A session. I will be feeling in my duty if I don't mention the august presence of Professor P. Lakshminarayana Garu, Registrar, Usmania University, Professor T. Tirupati Rao Garu, former Vice Chancellor, Usmania University, Professor P. V. Rao Garu, former Professor of Political Science, Usmania University, Mrs. Gitesh Sharma ji, Professor Mallesham, Dean, UGC and Development, Professor Chandru Nayak, Professor Krishna Kumar and Professor Srilata, the leading lights of the Political Science Department of Usmania University, Professor Pandanga Reddy, Director PG Admissions, Usmania University, Professor V.B. Narasimha and Professor L. Ashok Kumar, Joint Directors of PGRR CDE, Usmania University, Professor A. Patrick, PRO and Professor of Commerce for, as usual, his excellent hosting of the event. Then the staff of EMRC, Usmania University, for recording the entire session. The More importantly, the students and scholars of Usman University and its colleges for their active participation, and all the staff members of PGRRCDE for their excellent preparation and arrangements. And last but not the least, we thank Mr. Raghupati, APRO, and also the press and electronic media and the other staff members of EMRC for excellent coverage. Like, it is not the end of this lecture series. We sincerely hope that whatever is ignited here will be certainly carried forward, and it will be fodder for thought and further research in Usman University and in encouraging the young minds to conduct further research on G20. I thank the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you one and all.
Request you all to kindly stand to your feet for the national anthem. My request, ma'am, from NTR College.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हे.
Thank you, ma'am. This program started with you and ended with you there. And just a reminder to the students there, kindly don't go away. There is lunch arranged. And thanks to Annadata and Dalit, that is Usman University. Okay. So,